So we got this next topic. I'm gonna
Yeah,
introduce it
you
because
go ahead and lead this off, bud.
when I introduced it, I could feel Chris's eyes roll out of his skull. He did not that he didn't want to talk about this, but he's like, "Oh, really? We're gonna bring this up?" But the reason I wouldn't have brought this up unless two people were sourcing it. It was the direct who got the Miss Marvel thing,
Yes,
right?
and my argument, well, of not kind of rolling my eyes had nothing to do with the sources. I agree with you
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
I know. Yeah, yeah. But then the other one was Daniel Wright or Richmond. I think it's Richmond his name, right? Because there's like a T
Mhm.
in there. But he's a scooper. I always put him in like that like B C plus tier where he's better than a lot of them. He has a really good track record. But he has a Patreon if people don't know, and he usually drops scoops on there. And it seems like this broke a few days ago because he posted, and then someone, of course, screenshots it, and then they break the rules of a Patreon, which sucks. But we hear about this news. It sounded like it was either a comment or a conversation they're talking about
I mean,
potential
people don't
camp.
follow the rules. What?
Never. They're talking. Yeah, Daniel RPK. Thank you, fanboy Clay. He's on Twitter. Follow him. He's a cool guy, and he breaks scoops. So he, in a comment, they're talking about Doctor Strange featuring cameos, and he said something, and I'm paraphrasing, but to the effect of there's lots of conversations, they have lots of ideas, and he said that he's even heard them floating the idea around as Tom Cruise playing Iron Man in a different Earth. For the audio listeners, Chris is laughing. So
No,
I'm gonna start.
I'm more laughing just because it's like, man, they're really. I mean, DC has a very good long legacy of casting legacy characters that have been characters within DC. Tom Cruise was just linked, and at one point,
It's all they
fan
got, man.
casted, fan casted to, But again, I'm just saying, if they want to take a play out card out of DC, they're doing their own spin on it. But I'm with you. It would be cool to see that, and yeah, the open up that multiverse is going to be kind of open, leads you to do kind of cool and funny stuff like that.
I think it would be super cool. I think it'd be tons of fun because that's something where it's like if you don't know about it, just like, oh, cool, it's a different universe. They got Tom Cruise. If you're a fan that knows the story,
Yeah.
that would be so awesome. And it would be cool because they've talked to Tom about it, and he's literally been on record, been like, oh, I couldn't have done as good as him. Like he was perfect casting. Tom Cruise, whatever you think about him in the public, as far as when he talks about other actors, actresses, he's very complimentary. He's a really nice guy. So the reason why I want this to happen, but there's either two categories of really believing this
I
or no
wouldn't talk to
chance in
Katie.
hell.
I don't know. Maybe you talk to Katie Holmes about that. She might have a different opinion.
I said actors and actresses, not ex spouses. But let's see.
She's
does that
also
mean
an actress.
that's true? There is a gray area. Fanboy Clay, does that mean we see Russell Crowe as Weird Wolverine? No, I think we would see Dougray Scott, who was casted, but tying it to Tom Cruise, he had to leave to go do Mission Impossible 2. What a bad fucking call. That sucks. He left to go to Mission Impossible 2.
And here's Travis being that meme from Always Sunny in Sunny Philadelphia. Okay, we're gonna connect here. We're gonna connect here. Everything's connected.
Well, so my pitch is the way I see it not happening at all is if they just say, hey, we want you, because Tom Cruise is a big star. He likes to be the name. I don't think he's going to come in for just a cameo. I think there's two pitches. One where he goes, okay, you're going to come in just for fun and play Iron Man, regular Iron Man. Maybe he'll buy it. Maybe he'll bite. They'll throw in some money. Cool. I think
$20 million just for that 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think he'd say no. I think what he would say yes to is what I've been pitching for a while. They go to Multiverse Universe, they meet the new Iron Man. Oh, it's great. And then slowly but surely realize, oh man, he's a bad Tony Stark. And I think that's what Tom Cruise would be down for. Because
you're going Arno Stark on us?
Well, yes, because one, I think it'd be down because then he already said, oh, Downey did it perfectly. This is him not doing the Downey Stark. This is him doing a villainous Stark. And then two, if it hits off, you have this pocket universe of a bad Iron Man potentially with Tom Cruise in a what if, whatever it may be. And the other reason I bring that up is just because I am dying. I am on my hands and knees begging for Tom Cruise to play a villain again. I legitimately think his best role he's ever done is in Collateral with Jamie Foxx. He is frightening in that movie. Mm-hmm. He can switch from being so charming, like a Tony Stark. There's that one scene, it's spoilers, he's a hitman, and he goes to this jazz club, and it seems like just to get a couple of drinks, and he's talking to this jazz guy's, oh, you're great. Like, he's like, you're great. Like, oh, I love this music. Like, how are your kids? And then in like 5 seconds, he turns like, you know what I have to do? Takes the gun and shoots him, and he's just it's Jamie Foxx sells it well. Like, I want to see Tom Cruise be a villain again. So that's my pitch, that we see him as an evil Tony Stark. Do I think this is going to happen? No, I really don't. Either way, I just feel like he would want to be a main character. I don't think he'd come for a cameo, but you never know. So I've rambled on. So what do you think?
You'll take a cue. They'll taking a cue from Flashpoint and Michael Keaton as Batman. Not necessarily a mentorship in that sense, but I kind of have an idea, bigger role.
Yeah.
for yeah. I mean, yeah. I think that again, like I said, I think the Multiverse of Madness does bring out the opportunities for those little cameos and a hint to the fans that know that at one point he almost got the part before Robert Downey Jr. and has been fan cast a lot as Iron Man at that point. So
Oh yeah, and he's one of those big actors that, like, along with Leo, they've never been in anything, right? Brad Pitt's technically been in a comic book movie, and he says, "Oh, that's it for me." But like, there's a few that are kind of like the golden goose of if they did a comic book film, that'd be huge because it's kind of seems like Tom Cruise is always just like giving the safe answer of like, if it's a great story, it's like, okay, whatever. What?
but yeah,
Go ahead.
it'll be cool. It'll be a cool idea. Like I said, it gives them the opportunities.
Before I have one other question, Fanboy Clay said that's not true. Look at Tropic Thunder. That was a small cameo role. I'll counter two ways, Clay. I don't think it was a small cameo role because I think it's multiple scenes.
Awesome cameo, I'm telling you.
It was, but two, I think the reason he really did that, if Chris wants to bring up Katie Holmes after the whole Oprah thing and whatever you want to talk about with Scientology, he had a bad public image for a while. That movie, I think, was a full-on, he accepted that to fix his public image. Because after Tropic Thunder, no one was talking about him jumping on couches. No one was talking about him putting his views on other people.
Way too much into that of him just being, I always said, like, he was just really excited, got in over his head on that one.
I agree, but he had a certain image, right? After
Yes.
Tropic Thunder, he was known as, look at Cruz. He did this awesome, like, raw role where he's, like, playing against type. He's swearing. He's making cusses. I think that was the deliberate, we got to change your image, put him in Tropic Thunder. So this is what I was going to ask you as far as a legacy casting. What would be, and also that was Tom Cruise, but the boys parody that beautiful. Yeah, they really did. What would be your Marvel legacy casting? I already told you my one in the chat, but I have another one that would never, ever happen. But do you want me to go first while you're thinking?
Yeah, go first. That
So
way
the
it gives
one
me an idea.
The one I pitched Chris is obviously the Chris Evans is Johnny Storm, just because it would be fun. That one to me would just be literally a quick cameo in another world. He said something, you say flame on, he goes away. The one that has 0% chance of happening, but would be Ben Affleck as Daredevil.
Oh, you stole mine. Oh, you stole mine.
Because there's just so much around it, but it would be so funny to go through New York and you see him walking around. He didn't have to be in the suit, just him as Matt Murdock. It would be great.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, let's see. Let's get crazy. Let's bring Thomas Jane as Punisher, but we'll do some cosmic Ghost Rider action because gosh darn, I'm gonna will that movie into happening.
He's the hero in the Iron Man Tom Cruise universe. That's how you do it. Thomas Jane as Cosmic Ghost Rider versus Tom Cruise as evil Iron Man. Boom.
Well, again, we'll just call him Arno Stark because that's who Iron Man 2020 is. Arno Stark.
Yeah. So we got some more news. We're gonna do one more ad break before we get into it. That was a fun topic. Let us know if you actually think it's gonna happen on Twitter and Facebook. It was just a fun one I went throwing there, but it's something I think you and I would both love to see. It's just could be fun, right? You know, it's the same way as Flashpoint. We hear all these rumors.
It is, and again, I just roll my eyes at the whole thing. It's like, well, shoot, I could come up. You know, it's not the far zones around possibilities. It's just like, where is this coming from?
It's still that's the only reason why. It's just because he said he had heard rumbling.
Yes.
So again, like we talked about in Hollywood, someone may have just pitched it, but the fact that someone is still in that room maybe pitching that idea shows that one of these crazy ideas might happen. I know this is not DC Alliance, but these rumors of Nick Cage possibly playing Superman, which is the same. Oh my God, that's another thing where I'm like, please happen, please, for the life of me.
In that suit.
Like, imagine a scene where Flash is talking to Batman and Nick Cage Superman lands beside Michael Keaton, like, you all good here? And like, yeah, I'm fine. And he flies away, and Michael Keaton's Batman's just like, I hate that guy. Like, whatever the relationship would be, I don't know what, but like, oh, I want to give me all this weird crossover multiverse stuff. I'm so happy comic books is getting weird. So we're gonna take our second ad break. We will be right back, and we're gonna keep getting weird.